So next in line of performance, let's talk about the RAM. So on the Dell M2800, interestingly enough, they've chosen to save battery life by implementing a much more efficient type of memory. Both these systems can have up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, and they both use DDR3 RAM. Now the 2800 uses DDR3L, which is a low power consuming RAM. So there's a huge battery savings just because of the type of RAM that's in this system. On the 3800, same thing, up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. Again, DDR3, and in this case it's SD RAM that we're using. And there's just there are actually just 2 slots for RAM on both these systems, okay? So keep in mind, your maximum memory is 16 gigs on both these systems. Now let's talk about hard drive space. So on the M2800, again, an economy series laptop, the idea is to keep the cost low. So rather than have a mini card hard drive spot and a regular 2.5-inch hard drive space, they elected just to go with one 2.5-inch hard drive bay. Okay, that's a good thing because everything now is 2.5-inch, and solid-state hard drives are coming down in price. So there's only one bay in here. Okay, so you could put up to a 500. Actually, you could put up to a 1 terabyte solid-state drive in there if you can afford that. So we're outfitting this particular system here at SolidBox with up to a 256 gigabyte solid-state hard drive, and in some cases, people upgrade that to a 512. Now, what I personally love about this M3800, this is actually my personal system here, is that there are 2 places to put hard drives. Now, you can use the M SATA, which is the mini SATA card that's basically flash memory. And I have, in my case, a 512 gigabyte M SATA hard drive installed, and I have a regular 2.5-inch hard drive base. So I have a second solid-state hard drive. So there's that benefit. So really, in terms of storage, you can have a lot more with the 3800, okay? So one of the biggest complaints people used to have with laptops, and it's probably a complaint everyone has till this day, is traveling with them and the weight that's created by the accessories. Well, as we mentioned before, the M3800 is quite light, only 4.7 pounds, and this system's only 5.7 pounds. So where's the added weight? Well, the power supply or power adapter. These are both 130 watt power adapters, but you can see the significant difference in the form factor. So this is the one that comes with the 2800, and this is the one that comes with the M3800. This is a lot cleaner in my opinion. So if you are traveling, there's a good chance that you will be off of your power adapter and you'll be running on the battery. So what is the real usable battery life of these systems? Well, at SolidBox, we pride ourselves on no BS, and so let's tell you about that. The advertised lifespan is up to 9 hours on the M2800, and likewise with the 3800, it's specified to be around 9 hours. That's of course untrue. So what are the real numbers? I've been in possession of the 3800 for the last few months, and I'm always shocked how well it runs. But if you're going to run this with the SolidBox high performance power plan, count on maybe up to 2 hours of true use of the laptop and the Quadro card. All right. So again, just a little under 2 hours. Now, if you're going to use the balanced power plan or the battery saver power plan, you could probably go up to 6 hours actually. All right. And in that mode, it uses the Optimus technology to switch away from the NVIDIA card, and it uses the built-in Intel HD graphics chip to power the display. All right. So those are realistic numbers here. On the M2800, our estimates show so far about the same numbers, about 2 hours on battery, high performance mode versus about 6 hours of low power plan, like the balanced or the battery savings mode. So those are realistic numbers for battery usage on these. Now we ship these with the 6-cell batteries. There's a 9-cell battery option available for both of these. We don't feel like the larger batteries are worthwhile because of 2 things. On the M3800, the larger battery consumes your secondary hard drive bay. So you're not going to be able to use that 2.5-inch secondary hard drive bay. On the M2800, we don't really know if it's worth it. We haven't had the larger cell battery, but in our experience, that larger battery has not been worth the money. So as you come to expect with all modern mobile workstations, connectivity to the internet is just a given. There are a lot of options with the Wi-Fi cards that are available with the M2800 and the M3800. On the M3800, we spec the Intel dual band wireless A and C 7260 card. It also comes with Bluetooth, and that's the Bluetooth 4.0. But we like this card because it's been the most reliable with modern day routers, and you can get up transfer speeds up to a gigabit over wireless with this card. Okay. On the 2800, we choose the again the dual band 7260 with the Bluetooth again. Same thing. You can get up to just shy of a gigabit over Wi-Fi with this card. So these are cards that we spec. There are some other options on Dell's website, but those are the most reliable ones. Both of these systems have the ability to connect to a wired connection, an Ethernet connection. The M2800 has an actual RJ45 port on it. The M3800 ships with an Ethernet adapter that goes through the USB port. So you're consuming a USB port, but you're able to get on Ethernet. But you know, in reality, in my time of using the 3800, I've probably connected to a hard line one time. Otherwise, the Wi-Fi has always been great. So let's talk about ports and connectivity otherwise. So with the 2800, it's more of what I call a traditional laptop or mobile workstation where it has a lot of ports, the ones that you're used to. In total, it has 4 USB ports, 3 of which are the USB 3.0 or super speed ports. One in the back is a powered USB port, but it's not, it's just a regular USB 2.0 port. What I like about the 2800, because I do a lot of presentations and I'll go to meetings, is it has just a good old-fashioned VGA RGB 15-pin connector. And that's kind of seemed to have gone away from a lot of the laptops these days. But that's available here. Okay, we also have an HDMI port, an RJ45 port in the back, like I mentioned, and a place to put your security lock. And that's pretty much it with the 2800. All right, on the M3800, it's a little different. This has, again, 4 USB ports, 3 of which are USB 3.0 and 1 that's just a regular 2.0 port. Now, one thing it doesn't have a traditional DVI port or a 15-pin port for the typical RGB or VGA connector. But it makes up for all that. It has a mini display port. And I really like the mini display port because I went to Radio Shack and I got a very simple adapter, and it plugs into your mini display port. The output is either regular DVI, a display port, or a regular HDMI size connector. There's also an HDMI output, a regular HDMI output you can plug into there directly. Works great. And on the other side of the system, there is a SD card reader, and there's nothing in the back. It's real nice and clean. It's all dedicated to the vent. Okay, and you're probably wondering where is the SD card reader on this system, and it's in the front. All right. So very equally matched. The only again, the big difference is the fact that this has a traditional 15-pin RGB connector. This one does not. Now, a big thing, okay? To get you that real thin size and form factor on the 3800, they did away with any kind of optical drive. In my opinion, I haven't used an optical drive for years. The 2800 still has a great slot. It's a regular tray loading DVD read-write type drive. So if you're really into DVD still, hey, this is a great reason to look at the 2800. All right, let's talk about input here. So both these systems have backlit keyboards, at least the way we spec them at SolidBox. One thing you may notice right away is that on the 2800, they were able to fit the 10 keypad, which as an engineer working on SolidWorks, it's critical to have this, right? That's not available with the 3800. It's the only drawback in my opinion. Now, with that said though, I find it much easier to type on this wider space keyboard than I do with the cramped keyboard that comes with the 2800. Now, if you've been using one of the older Dell systems like the 4700 or the 6700, you're going to like this because it's almost identical keyboard layout to those systems. All right, so I think you'll still love this. There's no complaints here, but I personally like the wider laid out deal here. Then in terms of the touchpad, the 2800 has a very traditional 2 input device setup. So in other words, there's what I call the nipple, and I'm not sure what they call it technically, but this pointing device here is okay. I've never seen anybody actually use it, but it's available to those who do. It has the 3 buttons set up there, and then the traditional trackpad with the 2 tactile buttons for left and right mouse. So easy enough there. Now, the nice thing about the last 2 generations or 3 generations of Dell touchpads is that you can use 2 fingers on these to simulate the scrolling effect. All right. On the 3800, however, they've completely upgraded the input device, and they're really taking some plays from the Apple playbook And there is no differentiation of the left and right button area on the trackpad. However, when you click on something, you do get the click feedback, okay? You do get right and left mouse functionality when you do click in the lower right and left parts of the trackpad. Now, what I like about this trackpad on 3800 is that you can use up to 3 fingers to stimulate different functions or gestures within Windows.